Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
This is Sister Sajdah Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajdah House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39 millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahhouse.com. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. You now can take the Mind of an Entrepreneur show wherever you go. I'm now available on Spotify. Just search Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite Mo Today shows.
And I'm saying this to all of us. Our people are ready to spend their money with their own. There's no time better than this for 6 or 8 of you to pool your money and look in the community and open up a store to fulfill the needs of our people, and we will support you. It's your time now. That's being a man. Supporting your own people that are in business. Going into business yourself. Think out of the box. What can you create that will put black people to work?
Assalamu alaikum, family. Good morning, grand rising, all that good stuff, right? Somebody asked me, they said, why do you always start off by saying Assalamu alaikum? What if there are white people listening? I said, well, I mean Assalamu alaikum, or peace be unto you, to them as well. I come in the Catholic Church, and at a certain point you walk around and you say, peace be unto you. So yeah, we mean that, peace. The best thing you can wish for somebody is peace. There's nothing like having hell in your life and not being at peace. Anyway, so welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. Before we do anything, make sure you all that you like and subscribe, say it that way, to the channel. If you got Roku, go out there, add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup. We're starting to get a little momentum and some good following, and soon we'll be able to do some advertising. So that's exciting, right? Another revenue stream. So tell everybody, look, just go out there, watch it, catch up on past episodes. I try to upload the episodes as we finish. Um, but today I want to talk about the business of culture. And it seems like everybody is understanding the power of culture in business except us. Because what we don't realize is that it's our culture that is being used to increase sales in business. And I want to break that down a little bit. There was a video that I just showed, and I'm going to show it again, where the minister talked about our people being ready to buy from their own. So let's go back. Let's go back to the 70s, where brands and advertisers did not think that we were investment worthy. They didn't think about marketing to us. There was always all these complaints about how Black people were excluded from advertising, and we were excluded from marketing. And we complained about that. And you have people like the great Tom Burrell. He really is the father of that. He is the one of this concept. He is the one who convinced white companies that we have a culture that should be monetized and that they should sell to us. We were worth advertising with. So you started seeing white companies advertising in Ebony and Jet magazine. You started seeing some ads on television that had us in it for the very first time. And Tom was very, very successful at teaching white people that Black people were not just dark-skinned white people. What does that mean? That means that we have a culture. We have ways in which we do things. We have customs and processes and that evolve later into creativity, but we're different. We're not dark-skinned white people. And so Mr. Burrell was very successful at convincing businesses of that fact. And so you had some businesses that started to get rid of their racist theories, their exclusionary theories, and started to advertise with us. You started to see car companies. You see things like hair products, personal care. There was a time in the earlier part of the century where a Black person couldn't even advertise soap on radio. And so there's the evolution of all of that, right? And Tom really forced the world to turn the corner on that. And then when you moved through the 80s, started to get into the 90s, the entertainment industry sort of took control of that cultural marketing, or I should say the cultural capital that was created by us, right? You started to see like Run DMC when they were talking about my Adidas. At that time, Adidas had like 2% market share, and they took it, capitalized on that. You have all kind of examples of that happened in the 90s. Michael Jordan with Nike. Later, of course, then you have Kanye West doing it again with Adidas. But there were companies. You saw Coca-Cola with all their famous commercials. I think it was Tyrese, who was a child who was on the bus singing about Coca-Cola. You had Michael Jackson with the Pepsi commercial, that famous one where he had the accident that burned him. So you started to see some of these larger iconic brands start to incorporate us. We weren't quite at the point yet where our music was infused, but this started to happen once the entertainment industry, the music industry specifically, began to see us as something that they could utilize. There's a couple reasons for this. As the census comes out, the census drives, how people vote. They think. They think the census and those boxes that get checked. And I heard a speech that Steve Stout, a record executive, did. He was talking about his new company that he's building, and he had this whole conversation around cultural capitalism and talked about the use of the census and the use of data. And you started to see in the 2000s and stuff where it started to trickle down into other industries like retail industry. It got to the point where you go into a store and they're playing hip hop or music that is, done by us. You watch commercials especially around the holidays, and you see all of our music being licensed and used to generate sales and to create this culture. You all hear me tell the story all the time of traveling around the world and going into places where, you wouldn't necessarily think that people would be into Black music, and they in fact are into Black music. In fact about it, it's the culture of Black people that generates billions of dollars, Black people here in America specifically, that generates billions of dollars and creates industries. If it wasn't for hip hop, there'd be no K-pop, the Korean pop music. Even when you look at Afro beats and things like that are really starting to become popular, a lot of that owes its success to hip hop. And so this whole way of using music to capitalize on our culture. Now we call them culture vultures, right? We see TikTok, and TikTok is capturing all of our cultural moves and things that we do and selling it and rebranding it. And so the business of culture is real. And for many of us, we don't know how real it is. We don't really understand because we don't really value ourselves. And it's brilliant for these industries to take what we take for granted and to capitalize on it. Why do I say we take it for granted? Because we create all the time. We're always creating something unique. I remember when we were children, my brother's here in the chat. My brother used to make up words. He was like E40. They around the same age, and he would make up words. And so we all know him for making up words and rapping and creating definitions to his words. That's a culture. That's a cultural thing that we take for granted. We just do it all the time. If you've done any business with me, you know that I have a skill, and I don't know when or how I developed it or how I discovered it, that I can take a business, a traditional business, create a market around it, and help you break into a certain industry in a way that will create a specific niche just for you and just for your culture. See, part of the problem is that we're so afraid to go deep into our culture when it comes to business because we think there's no money there. But there's plenty of examples of that. Tyler Perry is one of them. There's a clip I think I posted on Instagram where Tyler Perry was talking to Kenya Burris from Blackish. And Kenya said that he worries a lot about what white people think. And Tyler Perry said, I don't give no damn. Because Tyler Perry created a niche within our culture. And then he took that niche and super served it. And he kept putting out more content and more content. So you have people that whatever Tyler Perry does, they follow it. They watch it. They go see it. They're into it because Tyler Perry is a cultural staple in our community. Regardless of how you feel about him, he is that. He's a cultural staple, an icon, a leader in our community. And he super serves his niche. And he doesn't care about what that broader market even thinks about what he does. He gets deals and has made a fortune off of serving his culture. And there's some other brands out there, but that's an example. But oftentimes we worry about customers that we don't even have. This is something that's true across industries. If you do finances, if you do accounting or financial planning, things like that, most times white people are not going to allow a Black person to control their money. People are like, what? That don't make sense. This is the truth. It's the truth. So we have to super serve our market and super serve our community. Be a benefit to our community and super serve them. These are the types of brands that I've built and I've helped to build, and this is what I do. And you all know that I don't normally promote myself, but I'm going to do a little promotion on this topic. When we were building the minimally invasive vascular centers and the clinics, it was super serving a market that was germane, or that is germane to our culture. Meaning what? First, we went general and we said the number one killer among Black people is cardiovascular disease. Just so happened that my business partner is a vascular and cardiothoracic surgeon. So we started to serve that market, start to work on trying to prevent our people from dying in record numbers. We call it the pandemic before the pandemic. Over 100,000 people a year, Black people, dying from cardiovascular related issues. Okay. And then the risk factors associated. So we started to dive into the risk factors and treat our people. And so we began to direct some of those insurance dollars from the general or broader market into our own coffers, if you will. And we created sort of this avalanche of services to where it literally just wore us out. It's a tremendous amount of pressure being responsible for people's lives because we tackled the risk factors. Smokers, over 90% of our patients smoked. Smoking is a passport to cardiovascular disease, even if you smoke weed. A lot of people don't know that, but it's a passport to cardiovascular disease. Smokers, people with diabetes, people who are overweight, people with high blood pressure, people with high cholesterol, people over the age of 50. We started to take those risk factors and educate about them. So we literally almost went door to door. We went into the community and set up these free screenings. And we started to show people how this particular risk factor that you have, let's get rid of that risk factor, because it doesn't mean that you have to be amputated. Doesn't mean that you have to die, that you have to have a stroke. And so we saved over 30,000 lives and limbs by the grace of Allah using this technique. Built a micro hospital. Then we said, let's go deeper into our market. And again, if you book me as a consultant, I'm going to help you super serve your market so that you can make the money you think you're going to make if you're pandering to the broader market. See, even the broader market ain't worried about the broader market. Let me say it this way. And I'll say it the way Dr. George Fraser says it. White people are not thinking about you. They're worried about their family, their children, their problems, their job, and your money. That's what they're worried about. What does that mean? That means that they're not even focused on their own demographic. They're using our music, our culture, and access to our hyper consumerism as a way to make money. Everybody knows that if you're an immigrant and you come into this country, where do you go to make money? You go to the Black community. You go there, you do nails, you open up a corner store, you open up a liquor store, you open up some kind of shop or service in the Black community, and it's the fastest way for you to reach a multi-million-dollar status if you come here in a country where maybe you couldn't get a job. You go into those communities. Interestingly enough, as we begin this whole gentrification process, that's impacting that business model that immigrants have used in America for years, because we're the consumers. So you come here to this country, you get you a place, and you come and you serve our community. Whether you serving them in the right way or a wrong way, this is what was done. You have more Chinese restaurants in Black neighborhoods than you do in some Chinese neighborhoods, or even in the broader market, in the white market. You open up restaurants, you serve us. That's how you do it. And I say serve, and I use that lightly because it really ain't service. It's just you come and you dump garbage into our community, and it's a way to make money because we're going to buy it. We don't value our own culture. But what has this done? This has infused all of these other cultures into our culture. It has made them adopt our culture. So everybody that comes here and kind of colonizes, if you will, the Black community, very similar to the way China is doing on the continent of Africa. This is where you go to make money. So why is it that all of these other cultures can see that we are worth doing business with and serving, but we ourselves can't? Why is it that Tyler Perry would have that conversation on the internet per se, or some interview they were doing, and it get posted and go viral on the internet? I'll say it that way. Why? Because we don't think that we matter. We don't think our culture matters because we create so easily. Let me tell you the blessing that we have as a people. Two ways. I was talking to you about healthcare and creating a market, carving out a niche where you can start to pull and redirect some of those dollars. And if you book me as a consultant, this is what I will help you do. I will help you carve out a niche working with your people that will create a multi-million-dollar brand. I don't care if you're in financial services. I don't care if it's HVAC. I don't care if it's food, a restaurant. I can show you how to hyper serve your people and make money, whether it's real estate. The first thing you have to understand is that old business models no longer work. So you can't bring what you learned as a business student or what you've seen in the broader community into doing business in our community. That you can't do. Other cultures might be able to do that. They may be able to come in and abuse us and make money, but you can't do that. So we would talk about that if you booked me. And if you do want to book me, go to the link in my bio if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. And there's a link there where you can book. And if you book one session, I give you two. So I'll give you one for free. I don't take a lot of clients. I turn down more clients than what I keep. And the reason why I do that is because I'm about building those brands and helping you do business in a way that is somewhat non-traditional in terms of how you would look at things, sort of how we built into the healthcare industry. And I'm not saying it's easy, because in healthcare, we didn't have no loans. We didn't have no fast money. We just had just elbow grease and hard work and 16 and 18-hour days. I'm not suggesting that everybody do that, but we were determined because we were going up against a big giant. We were like David, and the healthcare industry was Goliath. And I always think about how Allah told David, just throw the rock and I'll do the rest. But you can do this in the real estate industry. You can do it in trucking. You can do it in the restaurant industry. You can do it in, I meant to say food service industry. You can do it in just about any industry, whether you're doing hair, nails, whatever. You have to find a way to chip at the market and super serve and hyper serve your people and your community, because everybody else is capitalizing off of our community but us. It's time for us to learn to own and monetize not only our stories and our culture, but create a niche in the market where we become the customers and consumers. And our people are ready for that. See, and a lot of people going, see, people are tired. This is why working from home has become so popular. It's not because so many people just want to be at home. A lot of people don't even have good home environments to work from. A lot of people don't have good internet at home. A lot of people are not comfortable in their home space. A lot of people like getting out and mingling and going downtown. But I think what's really driving a lot of people to want to work from home, because they're tired. They're tired of the isms. They're tired of going to work and dealing with racism. They're tired of going to work all day and dealing with sexism. They're tired of going to work all day and listening and dealing with ageism. They're tired of being marginalized. And you all know I talk about that a lot in my book. If you don't have this book, go on Amazon to get it. They're tired. People are tired. People are tired of being marginalized. They're just sick of it. And so there's becoming this sort of self-separation that's happening, where people they just don't want to deal with it anymore. They rather separate, whether it's separate physically and work from home or separate and move, This is why places like Atlanta have become really, really popular, because it's Black. It's like a Black Mecca. And other cities, because people are tired. People are tired of that battle. They're tired of being discriminated against. They're tired of not being able to get customers because they're being marginalized. It's just old. And I will tell you, and my advice to our broader community, it's not enough white people in the industry for you to continue to make billions of dollars. This country has made billions of dollars on the backs of Black people since we got here. And I'm just talking business. This is just business. Whether it's slavery and the free labor, then you move into sharecropping and Jim Crow. You have redlining. Once we were redlined, then y'all came in with your businesses, started making money off of us. Every immigrant, like I said, they knew when you come into the city, any city, you go to the Black community and set up shop. You don't live there, but you set up shop. You got a whole nail industry that was built on the backs of Black people. You have liquor stores that most times we don't own. I don't even know no Black person that owns a liquor store. There might be some, but I don't. People that got liquor licenses, but you had people who, grocery stores. You come to our neighborhood, you open a corner store. What happened to our black grocery stores and our Black corner stores that were so popular right after slavery? Now you have people who come into the country, they go to our community. You have an entire fast food industry that was built on the backs of Black people, because you went into the community. You opened up these quick restaurants. These places didn't start in the white community, because once you all got a taste of how much money you could make, it didn't and it doesn't make sense to just focus on the white or that broader community. You have to go into the cultural communities. You have to go into the Hispanic community. You have to go into the Black community. You have to go into the Asian community. You have to go into these cultural communities to capitalize on the culture that's there. Otherwise, these dollars that are being made in these industries on the backs, especially of Black people, it won't exist. So what does that mean for us? It means that we can carve out a niche. We know ourselves and our people better than anybody. We know what we like. We know what we don't like. And the beautiful thing now is with the internet and social media, we can influence our people and monetize our people right under the nose of these other people. Even if they shadow ban us, they're going to always want to know what we over here doing. Because, and let me tell you the blessing that Allah has given us as a people. I started to say this earlier, but let's talk about us from a health standpoint. If any of you saw the interview I did with Dr. Jacoby, it's on iHeartRadio. It's called Who Cloned Tyrone? That's the name of the interview I did with Dr. Jacoby on iHeartRadio. You should check it out. And we talked about, I don't know if we talked a lot, and so I'm not sure if we covered it on the podcast. We may have. Why is it? Why we say Black don't crack? Why do we talk about that all the time? You see people like the beautiful Angela Bassett, who is 65 years old, and she's gorgeous, killing the game, absolutely beautiful. You have Black women and men who, especially women, let me separate that a little bit. Because Black women are defying odds, where we get better and look better the older we get. And it's interesting what's happening with Black women and Black men. With Black men, there's this rush to try to extinguish them, get rid of them, whether it's their behaviors, whether it's just them being a man, whether it's just straight out killing our brothers. So there's that piece of it. And unfortunately, what's happening with our brothers, as they get older, you start to see a decline. But then if they start taking care of themselves, they can turn that around. But they have to fight against a decline, a societal decline that is happening systemically. They can defeat it because you got some brothers out here that's over 50, that's in shape, that's looking good, that got themselves together. Because when we focus on it, we can really focus on it. Start eating right, start taking care of ourselves, no drinking, no smoking, start thinking right, start moving around, start making money. These are small tweaks that aren't that difficult to do. But think about our Black women. As we get older, we become more attractive. We become sexier. Oftentimes, we become wealthier. And we start to look better. You know, this is a very Eurocentric way of looking at things, that as you get older, you become less attractive. In ancient cultures, the older you got, the more beautiful you became, because it was based on wisdom and things like that. The youth was used for childbearing years. And then as you pass through those childbearing years, you became more and more attractive. And there's studies out there. But the Europeans came in, and some of our ancient African cultures that only see women as bearers of children, as a woman gets older, the value starts to go down in some of those cultures. But if you go all the way back to the ages of the gods, the women who were gods became gods as they got older, same as the men. But that's a whole nother subject. But going back to the interview with Dr. Jacoby about cloning and stem cells. Stem cells, and I'll just say this general, come from either, you can have umbilical or fetal stem cells, or you have stem cells that comes from the bone marrow. And what is known today as intermittent fasting, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to do, actually activates your stem cells. So when you start to eat one meal a day, fast 2 to 3 days a month, you consume less food, you will activate your stem cells. What also activates stem cells is pressure, stress. Because as you're in that fight or flight mode, your body is trying to figure out how to make you survive. And so in trying to make you survive, it's releasing those stem cells to feed your organs, which is amazing. It's magical. The body is magical because we're under all this pressure and stress, but we look better and more beautiful as we get older and as the pressure compounds. That's a blessing. But then also, as a result, a byproduct of this stress that we've had over the past 400 years is the superhumans that were created through the breeding processes that happened when we came over here as slaves. So we were bred like horses. That's why we're some of the best athletes and some of the most beautiful and some of the most strongest people in the world, because we were bred that way. Now it benefits us, right? But then there's our creativity, because when you're struggling, you learn to be very creative. Black people are so creative. We create to survive. We create just to create. We create just because of who we are. You can go through any Black neighborhood. You can find people who can rap better than the best rapper in the world, than the chart-topping rappers. You can find people who can sing better than Whitney Houston, Jennifer Hudson, and all them put together. You can find people who are funnier than your best comedians. You can find people who are better athletes than Kobe Bryant or LeBron James or Steph Curry or any of them, Kyrie Irving. You can find people like that. We got those kind of people just sitting around our neighborhood, sitting around our community. These are blessings that we have to learn to capitalize on. And the first step is to understand the business of our culture and how we can begin to own and monetize it. Who are you? What do you do? It's time to discover your authentic self and turn that into money. It may not be the obvious thing, but it is likely something that is unique to you. Your story, who you are, is unique to you. Nobody can take it from you. Nobody can own it. And a lot of times you can't make this stuff up. I think it was the minister who said that most of us have a life story within us that would be a bestseller, a chart-topping movie. We got it right up inside of us just from what happens to us. So I encourage us to document our experiences, document our lives, document our cultures. Understand that you don't always have to worry about customers that you don't have. That is the number one thing that I see when you all book me for clients. When you all book me for consultation and you become a client of mine, one of the number one things I see from us is that we are worried about customers that we don't have and customers that we ain't gonna get. I'm gonna say it again. Stop worrying about customers that you don't have and customers that you're never gonna get. If you look at any basic sales strategy, if you go to your warm market, those are people that are most likely to be your clients. You can become friends with the billionaire next door or down the street. You can hang out with the billionaires. You may learn some techniques and some cultural things, but a lot of times, most of that money making Those money-making opportunities are relationship driven. And so sometimes, even if you're the cool Black person in the room, oftentimes you're not going to be put in front of checks. What makes you get in front of checks and what makes them want to write you a check is when you are owning and monetizing your culture. If Jay-Z was still just the dude from the Marcy Projects, do you think he'd be sitting with Warren Buffett? Do you think Warren Buffett would give a damn what Jay-Z thinks or does? It's because Jay-Z has owned and monetized his own story and his place within a culture that is known throughout every business industry to make millionaires and billionaires. So it's the owning of that culture that makes it so that he can go and sit down with Warren Buffett. He wouldn't be able to do that as the dude from the Marcy Projects. Why do you think that they would say to Tyler Perry, let's give you this deal? Tyler Perry got people offering him deals. BET, VH1, all these different, I can't even name all the stuff that he's got offered to him. Why? Because he owns and monetizes his own story and his own niche within our community. Let me go back to the healthcare example. When we just started out as just two Black people trying to break in, a Black business consultant and a Black surgeon partnering up, trying to break into the industry, insurance companies we had to beg them to credential us. We had to do all these presentations and beg and beg. We had to beg to get credentials at the hospital. We had to beg to get patients. We had to beg and borrow and do everything we could to get everything up off the ground. But once we found a way to super serve our community and own a piece of our community in that space, the insurance company started to call us. Hey, would you accept our insurance? The hospital started to call us. Hey, if you got people that need us, would you send us over here? The products started coming in. Hey, would you, and let me tell you this, we would turn down prescription products. So we didn't just offer medicine because they said, well, we'll give you a bonus, or we'll give you free this or that, or we'll give you some advertising. We said no. That made us even more popular. We stopped vendors from being able to come into our space and walk around. You had to make an appointment and go through a screening process before we even allowed you in the door. That made us even more popular because we were serving a community that had fallen victim to this type of advertising and these type of methods. See, old business models no longer work. But what made us so attractive is because we started to own that piece of our community. And how did we own it? We did a partnership with the DC Office on Aging. And I'm going to talk to you about this process. I was sitting in the office one day and I said, how do we get out here in front of all these people before they die of cardiovascular disease? And I thought about it and came up with this. I did this PowerPoint, went and sat with Dr. Thompson from the DC Office on Aging and came up with a program, and he agreed to work with us on it. So we started doing screenings. We went into all the DC wellness centers. We went into the recreational centers. We went into the senior homes. We went into senior living facilities. And we started doing free screenings. And we started giving people advice for free. This is what you can do to prevent amputation. This is what you can do to prevent a stroke. And we started really serving them and making a difference and showing our people that we cared and that we were knowledgeable. We started working close to free at a Black dominated hospital in Southeast Washington, DC. And then people started coming to us. Oh, they own the market. They own this industry, and they started coming to us. So what is it that you do? How do you find, and this is what I would teach you to do if you sign up to be one of my coaching clients or consulting clients. I'm going to teach you to think. And that sounds real arrogant, right? It's not like that. Listen, thinking is what? What is thinking? Most of us think thinking is pushing and pulling and worrying and stressing and trying to figure this out and solving problems and working on strategies. That's a part of it. But thinking is really receiving. Somebody put that in the chat. Thinking is receiving. So I'm going to show you how to use your mind so that you receive and monetize the ideas that come to you. Thinking is receiving. See, if you got to believe that the solution is already in the universe. So when you sit down, when I sat down and said, how do we solve this problem? Allah, we're dying over 100,000 people a year from cardiovascular disease. How do we solve this problem? And then my job is to listen and to hear it. I'm studying, I'm reading, I understand what the conditions are. So I put it in my mind what those conditions are. And then I say, Allah, what is the solution? And then I remove myself so that I can hear it. This is how you create new industries. This is how you monetize problem solving and issues that are in your community that are connected to you. See, we serve a merciful God. And if you let me teach you this technique, you will find that there's not a problem in the world that you cannot solve once you learn to think and receive. We're doing it with the development of the House Museum. I'm doing it with the development of films. I'm going to save all of that because I got 2 big films that I'm working on. So how do you get that multi-million-dollar idea? How do you get access to that billion-dollar strategy for your insurance company, for your investment firm, for your financial planning firm, for your hospital, for your healthcare practice, for your real estate agency, for your trucking company? How do you get that? Because most of us are so knowledgeable about the industry because we've been working for somebody who required us to know. So most of us know just about everything there is about an industry that we work in. We're really, truly subject matter experts. But why is it that we can't turn the corner and turn that knowledge into millions and billions of dollars? It's because we're not listening. We don't know how to think. Thinking is receiving. And remember, old business models no longer work. So the business of culture has to transition from the entertainment industry using our music and songs and our data to target us as consumers, to us now turning it around and owning and monetizing our culture so that we are on the front end of the money. We own the intellectual capital, the intellectual and the intangible assets. We should own that. We know our culture better than anybody. This is why you all hear me saying every Wednesday when we're out here on the Mind of an Entrepreneur show that the Black Muslim business community is the hottest and fastest growing market that you are going to see will be interrupting and disrupting industries around the world. Why? Because what has happened, and I'll say this last point before we go, what has happened with the entertainment industry and those who control and own our culture, those who come into our community, whether it's virtually or physically, and start to own the culture, whether they selling us Flamin' Hots and red drinks, whether they selling us bad Chinese food, whether they selling us sharks and whales for dinner, whatever they selling us that we didn't necessarily like or want at the beginning, they are now using that to manipulate us as consumers. So they're manipulating not only us, but the rest of the world. And they're saying, this is hot, this is what you're going to buy. So the study of the data is real. And so now we become manipulated. What does that mean? If sex and the sex culture is what's hot and people are making money on it, then what they do is they convince us that stripping is a career path. I'm going to say it again. And this is all divine. You can go to scriptures on this. I'm not going to do it right now, but once they tear down our men and they say that the men are toxic and sexually inappropriate, then they make us thoughts. Once they do that, now they can erase us from history, but they can control us because they can make more and more of us think that this is a lifestyle that is a career path. So there's manipulation that is now happening with aspects of our culture. And we all have to admit that the sex industry is the elephant in the room in our culture because we don't talk about it. But it's huge and it monetizes. But what they're doing is taking that aspect of our culture, massaging it and growing it and expanding it and putting it in music and all kind of ways to make it go viral so that we think, even those of us as adults, if we get dressed up, we think, well, I got to dress like this thought. I got to dress like that. It's not about, let me just do my own thing. See, back in the day, it was all about Black people being fly and doing our own thing. What they've done now with our minds is made us want to be like whoever they parade in front of us. So we've lost our ability to be authentic, or our desire, I should say, not our ability, our desire to be authentic. So what does all this mean? It means that there's space in there for us to own and monetize our cultural capital. And I say we start with our own story. Start with your own story. I continue to use the Tyler Perry example. Regardless of what you think about him, don't dismiss what I'm saying because you're judging him and you got an issue with him. Understand, see, one thing that I learned to do a long time ago from studying business, if you know me, I'm always looking, I can see patterns and models. Whether I agree or disagree with it or not, I see the pattern and the way in which they're creating business out of it. So Tyler Perry took himself impersonating his auntie and the women in his family. He monetized that, made a business out of it, made an industry out of that. And now he's hyper serving the people that follow him. You can do the same thing. You look at Martin Lawrence. He created characters that were born out of his family and in his community. And that show is one of the greatest sitcoms ever. So you can do this. You just got to first begin. And the beautiful thing now is that with the internet, you don't necessarily need to go to nobody for a distribution, at least not initially. Own and monetize your own stuff, sell your own book, tell your story. Let me give you an example of this podcast, for example. I started this podcast in 2009 when nobody was watching. It'd be just me on here talking. Why did I do it? Because I listened. I was listening to the universe, and the universe said to me, you have all of this experience and all of this knowledge that you have bought and paid for with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Tell people, put it out there. So I started out on Blog Talk Radio. You'll see my stuff on Audible, see my stuff on Spotify and different places, all kind of different stuff. But I knew that I was building a pipeline that one day was going to blow. I didn't want to be that person that got invited to the Oprah Winfrey show and I ain't got no product. That happened to a lot of people I know. They got invited to Oprah. They sitting there on the couch with her. This is a huge market, huge exposure, and they have not one product. I want it to be when you see me, I got several products and several pipelines that I can sell you. I'm going to hyper service my market so that you see me as a subject matter expert in my market, in marginalized entrepreneurs, in conscious entrepreneurs, Black Muslims in business. And I'm going to serve and protect those markets because that's what's important to me. That's part of my culture. That's part of who I am. So I went through and started to dissect who I am. I'm a spiritual person. So spirituality and my brand, the authentic you, is very important to me. And so I started to learn to weave myself throughout brands that I would create. And then I set up an opportunity where you too can work with me and sign up with me, and I will help you to dissect who you are. Because at the end of the day, you didn't show up here on the planet to go to work every day, 9 to 5, and work for somebody else. Of course, there's things we got to do. We got to pay the bills. We got to eat. We're not fools. The minister told us to steal away. Don't just up and quit your job. I don't know if you all remember, there was lots of talk about that. Don't just up and quit your job and go, forget it. I'm doing for self. I'm opening my own business. Sometimes you got to steal away. You got to wait till you save enough money. You got to wait till you develop that product. You got to wait till you get to the point where you got enough money in the bank where you can move forward. So you got to be smart. You got to be strategic. You got to steal away. But what's happening to us today? Some of us aren't blessed to be able to steal away because we're getting fired. We're getting laid off. We're going into business under duress because we stressed out. We got to survive because we just got fired. We just got laid off. Some of us have backgrounds. We can't get jobs. Some of us are working in industries where the doors are closed to people that look like us. We can only go so far. And so we're forced to step out and go and do for self because there's nothing else that works for us. Or we got to do our business on the side. So we might work 8 hours a day, come home, put in 8 hours on our business and sleep a little. This is the day and time in which we're in. And the way to accelerate that is to use the business model that the broader community has already used and developed. Okay? I'm going to say this one last thing. We got to study. We got to study business models and stop looking at pop culture as the only business model. Sorry. Just because this is how it's done in pop culture doesn't mean that every industry operates like that. And it doesn't mean that it's the right industry for you. Let me tell you something. Normally, when you start seeing these investment strategies and these business strategies that come through pop culture, normally, by the time it gets to us, it's because the people who invented the process already pulled all the money out of it and they don't want to do it anymore. So whenever you find something on pop culture, I don't care if it's a multi-level marketing, I don't care if it's the way they invest in cryptocurrency or any of that kind of stuff, make sure that you're maximizing your profits and you get in and get out. Because by the time we're in it, it ain't gonna last long. So don't go into that industry and start stacking your profits within that system, because when the market falls, you're gonna lose. Pull out your profits. You've seen that with cryptocurrency. And I know a lot of times, a lot of us like to think, oh, I'm into this new thing. I'm into this. Most business models, most multi-million-dollar business models are usually kept from the masses of the people, especially Black people. So you got to pull back and think and listen. So by the time those business models come to us through pop culture, and pop culture is used to market them, meaning you see people on the blogs talking about it. You see people sharing it on the internet. By the time that happens, that means that the people at the top have already either positioned themselves to maximize their money, or they don't even want to do it no more because they know that they've already done something. And now once we get into it, here comes the regulation. Here comes the illegality of it. When you have people who've been doing it like this for years on the low, in a quiet way. So if you do, I'm not saying don't follow these trends, because sometimes it might be something you got time to jump in and get some money, but get in and pull your profits. You make some money, get out. It's like when you go to the casino, right? Y'all bet, y'all over there on the tables and everything. Don't just sit there, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 up. Pull some of that money out and put it to the side. I don't gamble because I just feel like I don't believe in it, obviously, because we're against it as Muslims, but I don't get it. I don't get, so I tell people, and I'm not going to go with you if you're gambling because I'm going to make you lose, because I just don't get it. I'd rather gamble on something that I have a little bit more control of. But if that's you and that's what you do, my father told me this: take your earnings and get up out of there, or at least take part of it and get up out of there. This is the business of culture. All right. So if you want to book me for a consultation, you buy one, you get one for free. Go to the link in the bio and book it. You'll see what's open and what's available. I right now have finished all my clients, so my calendar is pretty much open, and I can help some of you do some other things. I see y'all getting busy in the chat. Let me see what y'all talking about. Let's see. Sister Alicia X. Johnson, a woman's strength, said, thank you for sharing your expertise. May Allah continue to bless you for all the knowledge you feed us to help us be healthier and sustainable. Yes, my goal is to be an asset. I want to help everyone be happier, healthier, wealthier, and experience more love. Put that in the chat. My goal is to help you become happier, healthier, wealthier, and experience more love. So when you come to my stuff, I don't care if you come to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum. I don't care if you book me for a consultation. I don't care if you come to one of my speaking engagements where I'm speaking on the mind of an entrepreneur. My goal is always to be an asset and to help you to become happier, healthier, wealthier, and to experience more love. Sister Adria Muhammad said, use your creative mind and think how you can disrupt a market that you are sincerely interested in. That's right. Use your knowledge. So you want to study that market. You want to use your knowledge, and then you want to sit and listen and pay attention. Pay attention. Thank you, Magnetic Kinetic, for your compliment. You definitely have been helping this brother right here. Thank you. All praises due to Allah. Thanks, Mom. She said, that's right. Watered down. On the sneak tip, all of that. Yes, that's right. Get your profit and get out. Thank you. Thank you all for paying attention today and to listening and for tuning into the Coffee Talk. I was going to do this one in front of the fireplace or in the prayer room, and I said, no, we're going to talk straight up business, because y'all know the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talk is where we talk about life, love, and business. And today, this is business, and this is a new way of looking at business, a nuanced way of looking at business, capitalizing on markets and methodologies that already are proven and already work. All right, family. So peace and blessings. Listen today. Listen to the universe today. Pay attention to the universe. I'm going to go out. I'm going to play you all 2 videos. I'm going to play this video that I played at the beginning with the minister talking about business. And let me tell you something. If you pay attention to people like, or specifically, not people like, specifically the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he gives you prophetic market information if you listen and if you pay attention. So go back and get that lecture from Sunday if it's available, and check it out, because he gives you prophetic market information. He gives you a way in which you can make money. And I'm going to tell you right now, the best thing to do is hyperserve your community. Carve out a niche in an already existing industry and market that and sell that to your people. So whatever it is you do, understand the needs of your people as it relates. Thank you all. Brother Lamont, thank you, sir. He says, love that bookcase behind you. Enjoy your weekend. Oh, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Okay, so I will see you all, inshallah, on Wednesday. I don't know what guests Sister Rahima has lined up for us, but we'll figure it out. If not, y'all know I got plenty of information. I can come out here and talk to you. But don't get off yet. Check out this video again. All right, peace and blessings.
And I'm saying this to all of us. Our people are ready to spend their money with their own. There's no time better than this for 6 or 8 of you to pool your money and look in the community and open up a store to fulfill the needs of our people, and we will support you. It's your time now. That's being a man. Supporting your own people that are in business. Going into business yourself. Think out of the box. What can you create that will put black people to work?